So we're going to be drinking the 3 classic ones. They're very strong, 7%, 8%, 9%, so that's an average of 8%. We're going to be drinking the equivalent of approximately 2 pints each, that's like 4 pints, which is why I'm going to order a taxi home. Now, the yeast they're all bottle conditioned, which means there's lots of yeast in the bottom.
That's without the port and without the aged beers.
And
definite taxi.
Yeah. So feel free to pour your beers, but be careful. Just kind of watch it. Once the yeast gets in the beer, as I'm sure you'll explain, it changes the flavour quite considerably. So you kind of have to watch when you pour. Some people, I guess, probably like the yeast, and other people find it a bit too astringent. I don't know. You kind of watch when the beer comes out of the mouth of the bottle.
Like an old port.
Yeah, when you start to see sort of cloudy stuff coming out, just
if you wanted to be completely mad, we could try capturing it and growing it.
Absolutely,
yeah, on a fresher one.
Which is, I think, the original one they brewed, which is a 7%. They brew a much drier white, which is 8%, and then they brew these vintage dated things. And these vintage dated ones are what we're going to go back in time, back to 1990. But that will be for the end of the evening.
Okay.
And then after we've finished all the Chimays, we can drink whatever else is in this brewing as well. I don't know, some people really like the yeast, I don't know. Yeah, it's a little bit.
Not made a very good job of that stuff. All I have is some of mine that have been over primed.
742 Sheffield code.
Another 4 years before that change.
That's it. Be a mobile number now if you dialed it.
Yeah, yeah. And what didn't we have? We didn't even have this. That was 91. We didn't have this guy.
Wheat beers.
Okay.
So quite often UK brewers will add, 2-3% of wheat into the grist just to sort of like.
There's a pot of
We just to get
wheat,
the front of his head. So it's got the right sort of protein.
Then you're fermenting. So that's the yeast coming in and doing its bit in creative flavour. And then you do in the maturation and separation, you're getting rid of the solids again. So it's all this thing about alternating steps of creating flavour and then getting rid of all the stuff you don't want.
And it's that kind of spine in the middle. I mean, I've never done a brewery tour, but I've done plenty whiskey distillery tours, and it's at that point where they kind of they're the same.
It's exactly the same process up to there, and then basically they'll get the majority of the yeast off, and then they'll distill the alcohol.
Yeah, and then it just goes into the distillation.
Which means that you can actually swirl, and swirling is important because you're going to cause the nucleation, the bubbles to come out. The bubbles are essentially popping and bringing the aroma up into the headspace, and it's aroma that gives you your biggest sense of the flavour in the beer. So it comes up into the headspace there, which of course is chimney. So it's chimney, so it concentrates the aroma, so it just gives you a bigger bang. So half a bottle is more than enough.
So what have we got here?
So this is the white. It's just drier. It's a lot hoppier. It's a lot drier. This, I believe, is their most recent brew, although it's been around for decades now.
There are clean glasses. Yeah, I'll agree with you. On something like that.
Quite a bit of it's in French, identical from
Single malt as well, they expect to be the same.
Yeah.
But then, as I understand it, that's also a lot less on the malt. But the malt actually is much less. It's much more the still and the shape of the still that actually defines, and the water that defines that. Whereas actually the malt,
we don't necessarily have to have them all, but apparently, according to Mr. Michael Jackson, the port wine character develops greatly after 5 years. So we have 2 2015s and 2 2014s. Thereafter, hopping over the 5-year line, we have a 2009, we have a 2002, then we have a 95, and we have the 1990, which we have to open because it's 25 years old, so we just have to do that.
to blow up.
But clearly, we'll probably get.
It'll go off tomorrow.
Yeah, well, quite. We'll probably get 3. I mean, a single bottle with the optimum quantity, we'll probably get 3 glasses worth out of. Probably won't be before the yeast starts to run. So
That's probably a good way of doing it.
Yeah. So
we can taste and enjoy
we'll
them.
pour each one into 3 and just have a taste. I'm afraid we'll have to share our man flu around probably then.
We've got plenty.
We've got loads of glasses. We'll
I've got another dozen in the store, but don't tell Alex how much I paid for them.
So what is the story of these glasses? Because you bought these before you even met Alex.
Someone stole them and stuck them on eBay.
Seriously?
I have no idea. There's none on your website. I checked tonight.
No.
2015, dude. Right. Well, we've got 2 of these. So, but in fact,
I had no idea.
And I didn't know that yours. I only
still
bought
them
half
for
sober.
glasses and they were cheap. So
They're nice glasses and they were cheap. I don't blame you.
Right.
So you do so like 2.5, 2.5.
Should we do that?
Yeah.
By all means, yeah. I'm wanting to arrive at 1990 half sober. That's my definite aim.
I agree.
But yeah, because this is potent stuff at 9%.
So this is
So it goes 7, 8. So it goes 7, 8, 9.
7, 8, 9.
So this is 2005 and.
So this is 2015. This is fresh out of the. Let's hope fresh out of the brewery.
These are 2.
And these are, and even that, so if they're still distilling, if they're live beers, presume, is there going to be any addition? Is the 1990 going to be of a higher alcohol content than the 2015?
I defer to Alex.
Slightly.
There's going to be a bit, but not that much, to be honest.
No.
I mean, we used to reckon at Stones that any extra fermentation in the cask would give you at most 0.2 of an ABV.
Okay.
So over that geological time period, you're going to get, sort of like possibly a bit more than that. I wouldn't say much more than about 0.5%.
Yeah.
It gets to the point where the pressure in the bottle, the biodynamics are all working against the yeast. The sugar's run out. There's a lot of alcohol. It's tired. It's sleepy. Sort of like and that's what we will actually find probably over time, and hopefully not to the detriment of the beer, but you'll find that you do get some. There's a characteristic that's called yeast bitten, and you associate it mostly with pale lager beers. So if you've got someone who's brewing a lager, doesn't really have very good brewing practices, doesn't know about taking the beer off the yeast, keeping it at the right temperature, all that sort of thing, or doesn't have the right conditions to do so, you can end up with a relatively light, or what should be a light flavoured beer, having this horrible stale yeast, marmitey sort of characteristics in the beer, which is just totally not appropriate. Now, in a big beer like this, you're much less likely to get something like that. But we hope that the 1990 is as fresh as the day it was.
Come on then, Paul.
With
nice maturation characteristics.
This is 1990.
Well, this is 2015. We're going back in time. So this is fresh out of the brewery. This is huge. I mean, this is a huge beer. A huge beer. So, well, Alex is the taster, but there we go.
I'm going to have a good Smith.
It's like the red, but kind of on steroids.
Yeah.
It really is.
What ABV is this?
9.
I'm going to let
What
that.
I'm really interested in is
going from 14 down to 09. 2014.
Entirely chilled. You don't have to use a damn saddle coolers.
Yeah.
2014, yes?
No. GBBF.
Yeah.
It's more like that when you're trying to take over a conference centre into a pub. You don't have a lot of choice on your technology.
Yeah.
But no,
I have Neil's chinos in the background.
Great.
Lucky you.
Do you know Buster?
I do indeed, yes.
He's been my bar manager for 3 years.
Good man, Buster.
Well, to absolutely Matt Lawler.
Yeah.
Well, bless him.
Jean-Noise.
Thank you.
Should really.
But it's not too pretentious to say.
Is that one of the old ones, that?
What?
Is that one of the old ones? Is that
Yeah.
the 6?
Entirely correct.
You got your success then.
Yeah, we should be using my success, really, not your old thing.
Yeah.
The best before date was when they wouldn't have even let it out of the factory yet.
Yeah.
It would have still been in a random warehouse in, I don't know.
Milton Keynes.
Yeah, it would have been sitting.
2014. 2009, 2002, 95, and 1990.
Better when I was 19.
I've got a pair of shoes like that.
Yeah. Hey, I've got a shirt. Right, here we go. Right. Beer Meister.
And I've still got the shoes, I haven't got a wife.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Let's get rid of this.
that's going on social media.
Real clean things.
The commemorative.
Is that somebody's 14 there?
I'll finish the 14. I enjoyed
Go on,
the
John. I finished the 14.
I enjoyed the 14.
Yeah, I didn't have anyway.
Yes, very nice.
Sorry, you could. And you didn't get
Right, that's the
logo
09.
on it.
This is the 02.
That's what I broke earlier, yes? Okay.
Well, Alex. No,
The
no,
caps
not.
actually do get progressively rustier. It's funny.
You didn't break one of Alex's glasses.
Right.
Bit of that 14
Oh,
left.
yeah, well,
if
the
anyone
14
wants it.
So, and it kind of, people say, oh, I had a couple of bottles of similar age and one was great and one was horrible. So, you know, I think it depends on, obviously it's not like wine where you have like a batch per year. They made hundreds of brews per year, so who knows where we're going to end up. But
I guess if it's even a matter of kind of, I mean, I guess one could have, leaked in the carbonation?
Yeah,
Could have.
I mean, one could have been.
Sorry, do you want to clean glass?
No, it's not. Right. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the day, I suppose. It depends on whether the monk was having a good day or whether he washed his hands or goodness knows what. Who knows? Right, here we go.
Are you going to give a? You should smell it as soon as you open it.
We should all smell it.
So
Oh,
don't pour it straight in.
No,
Do you want to?
No,
you want
it's
to
all
use
right.
yours one? Yeah.
Because this is my 1990 and all that bottle opener. Okay. Much less. Oh no, but it's fizzing up.
It's going to go everywhere.
It's going to go everywhere.
I wouldn't join us, please.
Oh, my
Go,
word.
go, go, pour.
As we had them out of the fridge, they've been warming up and getting slightly more lively, you see.
Okay, yeah. We've got some condensate on the bottles. Okay. It's probably about half of
Seventeen,
that
that
one.
one.
There we go. So this is lovely. Keeping this one to run clear.
Alex, do you want to grab that one and do the honours for us and let us know?
Somebody could write down a few tasting notes.
It's around 2009. Oh, I'm afraid that we.
Wow, it's very different again. This is
Okay.
much more
my word,
sort of
yeah.
like plummy and
Here's the 14.
Yeah, plums.
that's a lot fresher. This is slightly more plummy,
plums.
date-like.
I get masses of plums, sloes, plums, that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay.
Hint of a hint of sort of like
Oh my goodness,
musky
that's
or
very
woodiness or
different.
something like that.
Yeah.
It's,
Hint of what?
it's definitely a lot more aged.
Yeah.
But not necessarily bad. It's just
Yeah.
different, isn't it?
Well, he did say, Michael Jackson said that, you know, it's over 5 years is the... Yeah.
Have a sniff of that.
Wow. Neil?
Oh my word. Yeah, the character is totally changed. By the way, these might be disgusting, okay? we just don't know, yeah?
There is a possibility it's off.
Well,
Oh
that's
no,
dry.
there is some.
You actually put it in your mouth already, yeah?
I have already, yeah. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. But it's
I know
incredibly
something
dry.
that really reminds me of that there, and it's
Okay.
it's this it's this odd like fruit spread stuff that
Yeah.
Lorna has. It's some kind of organic
Yeah.
kind of, again, almost kind of a molassesy kind of.
Yeah.
Fruit paste.
But yes, it's kind of like
Started all red and green, but what you put on is brown.
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah.
But still very fruity.
Okay,
Yeah.
so here
Go.
we've got the 2000.
Okay, very modest little hiss. Very modest little hiss, but it's fizzing up. So here we go. Off we go. Off we go.
2000,
We've got a little bit of yeast coming off the top there.
2002 here.
So 2002, yeah.
the yeast is actually pulling through. I think it's because they are getting warm, and the yeast is very flighty with these beers. And you can't stop it coming through. It's coming through the neck, but well, we just have to put up with that. Maybe we should have kept them in the fridge, but well,
they're still largely clear.
Whoa.
well, I'm seeing a lot of yeast coming through. We're just going to have to put up with a lot of yeast in some of these.
That's even more intense than the last one in terms of that kind of plummy.
Oh my word, yeah. Oh gosh, there's more fruit developed behind the scenes. It's like that's a little bit dry, whereas this is actually gone. It's still got that dryness, but there's a bit more fruit underneath there, I think.
Very similar though.
Similar, yeah. Goodness me. This is
Into the 90s,
this is
huh?
20 years ago this was put in a bottle. Okay, here we go. Very healthy fizz. But this one's not frothing up at all. Got very healthy fizz. That same old beer kind of smell.
Glad you were listening to Alex there to have that first sniff.
Interesting that the yeast isn't flowing. That 2002 that is full of yeast. Actually, those glasses are full of yeast, but this one is not. But the lacing is still brilliant. The head is magnificent. Look at that head; it's superb. But this looks like an old spirit almost. It's fabulous. Look at that. The yeast is staying where it should be. There we go.
Will someone have a smell of that and see what you think?
How the bubbles are sort of like popping up and then disappearing.
Yeah.
What's it like?
Oh, it's more fruity, this one. It's almost fresher.
Yeah. This is, this felt good from the minute I unpicked it.
And that's purely
wow.
down to... Yeah. Bizarrely, it seems fresher than the previous one.
Yeah.
The previous.
But I mean, products they decline, they increase.
Oh, yeah?
Or it can just be how the beer was that year.
Or conditions or anything could have been accident a little bit.
It's got a really syrupy, dark syrupy kind of.
But not as much as the previous year.
So wait, so what would we say on the 95?
It's fresher than the previous year. The previous ones.
The resolution and everything else, you had to hold back off opening that bottle for that long.
So we are talking 1990 here.
1990.
Okay, Paul, so tell us a little bit about your little visit.
Did you always plan to keep it this long?
Always plan to keep it for 25 years. So, so I watched the beer hunter Michael Jackson in the spring of 1990. I had the great privilege to go to Holland. Here he is, the great man himself. Now long since passed away, bless him.
Not that long.
I had the privilege to go to Holland the summer of 1990. I went to various beer bars and tried all these amazing beers and realised the Chimay was vintage dated. Now, Michael Jackson said he'd had excellent examples of more than 20 years old, so I literally bought one and thought, let's keep it for 25 years and see what happens. And this is the moment, 25 years later, when we're going to open this bottle of beer. And we shall see.
So you actually rolled that back from Holland?
I think I possibly bought this one in the UK actually, but if you want the romantic story, I brought this one back from Holland. But no, I think actually I probably bought this one in the UK, but where I would have got it from, I don't know. Lost in the mists of time, who knows? I may have brought it back from
There's some interesting, there's a bit more, look at that. So look at it even kind of around the bottle.
Here we go. So the 95 is amazed by its freshness after 20 years in the bottle. Now this has really lost a lot of carbonation. The yeast is incredibly well behaved. It's sitting at the bottom of the bottle where it should be. This looks winey. I mean, it really does look more kind of viscous, really, as it's coming out. Yeah. It really does look like a proper, really, really old ale. There's goes the
Gosh, I need to have the smell of this.
Yeah.
Clarity is fantastic on it.
Wow.
And a lot
Claret, I think, yeah.
I mean, it's only this one where the yeast has exploded up, but the rest of them, it's been very well behaved.
This
is unusual for Chimay.
Paul, have a taste, please. Have a smell and have a little taste.
To my 17-year-old self, I say, cheers.
Yeah.
Salute.
Cheers to your 17-year-old self. And all of him that remains.
I'll say, wow, that is amazing. There's a almost
really
medicinal slightly chalky, medicinal kind of flavour to it. It's got a feeling on the tongue unlike any of the others. It's for another 5 years. It's completely different from the 95.
Is this slightly more red?
Well, yeah, I suppose it is.
I'm looking at the colour.
That's pure copper, isn't it? That's
I
copper.
think it's very slight. It's a different colour.
Yeah, that is pure copper.
I mean, for 1990, it's incredibly. It's an upside brighter than the 2009,
Yeah.
or indeed the 2002.
And it's not the plummy, fruity flavour that the.
I think my favourite of these four is probably the 95. But yeah.
Well, it almost seems like there may have been something in the in just the cellaring over time in the 2002. It feels like it stands out a little bit.
Actually, that's beautiful. The 09.
I was quite a fan of the O2 personally.
Actually, let's get a picture of four glasses next to each other, because the colour change is really, really interesting.
I can't believe how bright.
So we've got 2014 here, 2009, 2002, 95, and 1990.
They're definitely getting almost paler. The O2 being the darkest.
I think it looks really dark by comparison, doesn't it?
I thought the last one was more red.
It's almost like they culminate the dark here,
Yeah.
and they get brighter both ways.
Perhaps if
Strangely.
2002 was just an odd.
And why these two, the more recent ones, are actually more cloudy than the
Yeah.
older ones?
Yeah.
Is it that it settled out? Is it all in the bottom of the bottle?
Could be the yeast. The 2002 was very lively when it came out, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the one that really fizzed up.
But the yeast can vary. I mean,
But
you say
well,
the-
I wonder whether the man in the video had done the proper job on the yeast. The yeast was really behaving itself, and whether they've messed it up since.
Well,
Yeah,
because he's
yeah,
long
that's
dead.
The internet is full of, oh, they've changed the recipe, oh no, they haven't kind of conversations.
Get me.
Great.